Welcome to this explainer. We've got a truly fascinating topic to explore today. Whenever we think of ancient palaces or grand historical castles, we usually picture the exact same things, right? Beautiful stone facades, massive courtyards, some incredible artwork. But we also tend to picture freezing, drafty halls and a complete lack of modern comforts. Well, today, we're going to look at a structure that absolutely defies those expectations. We're talking about Ishak Pasha Saray, a sprawling, gorgeous complex located in eastern Turkey. And we're not just going to admire it as a pretty historical building, we're going to examine it as a pioneering engineering marvel of the 18th century. It's this magical place where breathtaking artistry meets, well, literal cutting-edge innovation.
So let me ask you this. Did you ever think an 18th century palace could have a modern central heating system? I mean, seriously, just think about that for a second. Long before the radiators and smart thermostats we all completely rely on today, the architects of this palace were already solving the massive problem of how to keep hundreds of rooms comfortable during the freezing winters of the region. It completely shatters our expectations of what historical living actually looked like. So today, we're going to unpack exactly how they pulled this off, right alongside the incredible history and architecture of the palace itself.
Okay, let's dive right in. Section 1. Birth of a Fairy Tale Palace, a 99-year architectural epic. Now, before we can fully appreciate the incredible engineering hidden inside the walls of this complex, we first need to understand the massive scale of its origins. This wasn't a project thrown together in a few years. Construction on this massive complex began all the way back in 1685, under the direction of Solak Abdi Pasha. But it wouldn't be finished by him, or even in his lifetime. Actually, it wasn't until 1784, under the rule of his son, the second Ishak Pasha, that the palace was finally completed. That is a total construction duration of 99 years. We are talking about nearly a full century of continuous labor, design, and artistry spanning multiple generations. Built primarily with local ahlat stone, as well as these stunning regional red and pink cut stones, the master builders of the era poured their absolute best work into this site. It ultimately became the most famous palace complex built in the Ottoman era after the legendary Topkapi Palace. Moving right along to Section 2, Historical Journey Between Courtyards, moving from public to private. So now that we have a sense of the immense time and effort it took to build, let's talk about how the space itself is actually organized. Because as you approach the palace, the architecture is deliberately designed to guide you on a very specific spatial journey. It's all about moving from the chaotic outside world into a space of absolute privacy and control. The palace is laid out horizontally from east to west across 3 main courtyards. Step 1 is the outer courtyard, or first courtyard. You enter this space through a monumental outer portal. This was essentially the buffer zone, the place for the palace's contact with the outside world. It housed the service areas, the guards, the dungeons, the horse stables, and the granaries. Then Step 2 brings you through a second beautifully carved stone gate into the inner courtyard. This was the administrative heart of the palace, where all the state affairs were handled. And finally, Step 3 is the harem. This was the ultimate private sanctuary, strictly reserved for the Pasha's family and dedicated servants. It's a brilliant, highly structured flow from public service straight into a private sanctuary.
I want to pause for just a moment on that second step we just mentioned, because the inner courtyard is truly breathtaking. Just imagine stepping into this space and seeing the 2-story Abdi Pasha tomb, built in this very traditional Seljuk style, resting right in the center. Off to your side is the Divan Salonu, the grand hall where men gathered and state business was handled, and it features this incredibly gorgeous stone masonry and intricate wooden decorations up in the ceilings. And then, rising above it all, is the Ishak Pasha Mosque. It's a single-domed masterpiece with a soaring minaret covered in carved Seljuk motifs. Inside, it features beautiful Baroque-style calligraphy. It is a complete feast for the eyes and a massive testament to the power of the Pasha.
All right, now for the really mind-blowing stuff. Section 3. Engineering marvel and fine details, beyond the beautiful stone facade. As beautiful as those stone carvings and sweeping domes are, it's time to look at the hidden technologies that make this palace truly unique in world architectural history. A key element here is something called the kunk, a baked terracotta pipe. But it's how these pipes were used that is so fascinating. The architects embedded a massive network of these terracotta pipes directly inside the stone walls of the palace. Water was heated in central furnaces or fireplaces, and then this hot water was distributed through the kunk network, literally radiating heat into the rooms. We are talking about what is widely considered to be the world's first central heating system in a palace setting,
Hundreds of years before our modern radiators, the residents of Ishak Pasha Sarai were walking through warm, centrally heated stone corridors. And just to give you a sense of the sheer scale of this engineering feat, 366. The central heating system didn't just warm up a single throne room or, a couple of VIP suites. It was designed to heat all 366 rooms of the harem and beyond. Just think about the water pressure, the thermal dynamics, and the precise architectural planning required to pipe hot water through 366 individual rooms in the 18th century. It is just an astonishing achievement of historical engineering.
And the crazy thing is, the innovations didn't stop at heating. The plumbing and sanitation systems were equally advanced. Every single room was equipped with stone-carved sinks. Beneath the sprawling complex was a massive, carefully sloped sewage network designed to safely and cleanly discharge waste down the hill. Furthermore, the rooms featured built-in wall ventilation channels to ensure constant fresh air circulation. When you put all this together, central heating, running water in every room, sophisticated sewage, and air ventilation, you are looking at a level of comprehensive luxury and hygienic design that feels incredibly tangible and modern to us today.
And all of this brilliantly illustrates the magic of Ishak Pasha Saray. It is a perfect synthesis of global cultures. On the eastern side, the palace is deeply rooted in its region, utilizing Sharm Seljuk geometry, intricate Persian motifs, and masterful Caucasian stone carving, like the Tree of Life and the lion figures guarding the gates. But on the western side, because it was built during the Ottoman Empire's famous Tulip period, it heavily incorporates the sweeping, dramatic curves of European Baroque and Rococo styles, complete with ornate acanthus leaf decorations. It's a literal and physical bridge between the artistic traditions of the East and the West, carved perfectly into stone.
Which brings us to our final act, Section 4, Silent Guardian of the Silk Road, a legacy etched in stone.
You see, when you zoom out from the heated walls and the beautiful carvings, you really have to look at where this palace actually sits in the world and what it meant to the people who traveled past it. Ishak Pasha Saray isn't tucked away in some bustling city. It is perched high on a rocky hill in the Agri province, commanding a sweeping, dramatic view of the plains and the majestic Mount Ararat. But this location wasn't just chosen for the beautiful views, right? This was a highly strategic military and commercial checkpoint. For centuries, this palace served as a powerful outpost, securing the ancient Silk Road. Every single caravan of merchants, spices, and silks passing through these historical trade routes would have looked up at this imposing, beautiful structure. It was a silent guardian, ensuring the safety and control of one of the world's most important economic arteries.
So the crucial takeaway here is summarized perfectly by architectural historians. They call the Ishak Pasha Palace the clearest and only example in Anatolia, bridging classical Ottoman and Western-influenced late Ottoman architecture. It is the ultimate transitional document. It captures this highly specific moment in time when the old world of classical Ottoman design met the incoming tide of Western architectural influence, all while they were pioneering central heating and plumbing. It's because of this totally unique synthesis of style, its historical importance to the Silk Road, and its engineering firsts that it proudly sits on the UNESCO World Heritage Tentative List today, drawing visitors from all over the world.
Which leaves us with this final thought. We spent this explainer marveling at how a 99-year project from the 18th century managed to innovate central heating, blend Eastern and Western art, and guard a massive global trade route, all while surviving into the modern day. It really makes you wonder, like this silent guardian of the Silk Road, which of today's modern architectural marvels will stand the test of time? What buildings are we constructing right now that people will look back on in 300 years with the exact same awe and fascination? Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through Ishak Pasha Saray. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.